What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ndifon Ntui and today I'll be teaching you how to draft a straight skirt with a slit on the side. Now this video is part one of two videos that I'll be dropping on how to sew a straight skirt with a slit on the side. Now this is a video on how to cut it and how to iron interface into it. I will drop a video on how to sew it by Saturday. Thank you so much for watching, and I want to thank everybody for the support that I've been receiving on the channel. I hope that you guys have a fantastic day. Please enjoy the video. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. Have a nice day. You're welcome once again to another video. Now this is a video on how to draft a straight skirt with a slit on the side. Now these are the measurements that we are going to need. Please, you can write them down because we'll be using them throughout the duration of this video. Now moving on, the first thing we're going to do is to fold the fabric. Now whenever I'm cutting anything, what I do is I take the biggest measurement around the body, divide it by 4 plus the allowance I intend to use. Now in this case, the biggest measurement is the hip divided by 4 plus the allowance I intend to use. Now my hip is 42. 42 divided by 4 is 10.5 plus the allowance that I intend to use, which is 2 inches, which totals 12.5. But here I folded 13 approximately, because I folded 13. But we are making is straight skirt with slit, so we're going to keep 2 inches in front, and then we're going to tuck it underneath so that it doesn't confuse us as we move along. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the top of my fabric and I'm going to mark 1/2 inch. This will serve as allowance for turning our lining, or the allowance that you will need if you intend to attach a band to your skirt. Now the next thing I'm going to place is my waist to my hip measurement, which is 9 inches. Start from the 1/2 inch line. Then I'm going to draw a horizontal line. The next measurements we're going to place is our waist to our knee measurements. If the waist to knee is 21, I like subtracting 2 inches from it. So this is 21 minus 2 is 19. I'm going to draw a straight line there. This is going to help us to take away the tightness from around the knee so your clients can move freely. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to place the skirt length. Now the skirt length is 43, so I'm going to make a mark at 43. And then I'll rule a straight line. Now the first measurement I'm going to place would be the waist measurement. Our waist measurement was 36, divided by 4 is 9, so I'm going to make a mark at 9. Our hip is 42. 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. So I'm going to make a mark on 10.5. Now when it's time to place the knee measurement, we're going to subtract 2 inches from our hip and place at the knee measurement. So if our hip was 10.5, we're going to place 8.5 around the knee. Now this will help us taper the skirt so it has that pencil shape around that tapered shape around the bottom. I'm going to place the same thing that I placed at the knee at the bottom of the skirt. After that, I'm going to connect all the dots. Connect the dots, nigga. You connect the dots, boy. What? Yeah. Now when I'm done with that, I'm going to add all my allowances. Now at the top part of my skirt, because of my darts, I like marking 2.5 inches. The extra 1 is because of my darts. As my hip, I'm going to mark 1.5. So by the time I hold my darts from the top part, it's going to take away the 1 inch there, which will make the top part 1.5. So when I'm sewing down, I'm going to simply hold 1.5. I'm going to place 1.5 everywhere else, which is the knee and the hem of the skirt. So I kept 2.5 at the waist, 1.5 at the hip, 1.5 at the knee, and 1.5 at the hem. The extra 1 inch at the waist would be taken in by the time we place we stitch in our darts, we sew in our darts. When I'm done with that, I'm going to cut out the pattern. Now when I'm done with cutting, I'm going to subtly trim, make a curve at the front of the skirt in order to give it that roundness around the waist. I will not leave it flat. This will also help us eliminate any rumpling or bulge at the bottom of the skirt. So I'm going to come to the front of the skirt and I'm going to mark ½ an inch, and then I'm going to roll a straight line. I'm going to smoothen it out so that it looks like a curve. Please ignore the busybody that you see standing there, please. And I'm going to roll a line from the front to the side, from the center front to the side of the skirt, to give it a curve. So now, if I was drafting a regular skirt and I didn't have that 2 inches, I'll simply place my pattern on top and add the 2 inches. But since I added 2 inches because of my slit, I'll simply take the front and place it at the back and cut them exactly the same. But the back would not have that slope that the front has. The back would just be straight. So now that we've folded the fabric for the back, I'll simply place my front pattern on top, and I'm going to cut them exactly the same. I repeat, if this was a skirt that didn't have the 2 inches in front at the front, on the front pattern, I would add 2 inches for my zip space. But since I added the 2 inches in front, I'm simply going to place them and cut them exactly the same. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to mark out my zip space. I'm going to mark out my zip space. That's 2 inches. I'm going to mark 2 inches from top. I'm going to do the same thing all the way to the bottom of the skirt. So I'm marking 2 inches everywhere, which is what I kept for the zip space. Now I'm going to connect all the dots. Connect the dots, boy. Now I'm going to highlight the ½ inch line we have at the top. From there, I'm going to place my waist to my hip, which is 9 inches. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to place my knee where I placed my knee measurements. The knee was at 19. I'm going to roll a line there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the very top. Now I'm trying to make a curve for her butt, so I'm going to take out 1 inch from the 2 inches, like so. I'm going to draw a line from that 1 inch to my 2 inches around the hip, and then I'm going to come to my knee and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mark 1 and then I'm going to make a curve. Now most people like doing 2 here, but I think that's a bit dangerous because of the difficulty in movement that it might cause, so I like doing only 1. So with this, I'm going to give the back of the skirt that butt shape. So it has a nice curve from her waist, flow around her butt, and to go smoothly to the knee. Now I'm going to cut my lining for the front of the skirt and for the back of the skirt. Now first of all, you will cut them exactly the same. Now I'm going to come to the bottom of the skirt and shorten my lining by 2 inches. Now I have only 1.5 inch as my allowance at the bottom. That is why I'm taking out 2 inches. If I kept 2 inches at the bottom of my allowance, at the bottom of the skirt as allowance, I would take away 3 inches. So you can keep, if you have the fabric, you can keep 2 inches at the bottom and then cut your lining shorter by 3 inches. I hope you understand. The numbers are plenty, I know. So you will cut the lining exactly the same, and then you also shorten it just like you shorten the front. So I've cut lining for the front and I've cut lining for the back. Now, of course, we're going to need fusible interfacing, aka airstay. So I'm going to bind this to my skirt now. So I'm going to iron it to all sides. I'm going to iron it to the front of the fabric, and I'm going to iron the fusible interfacing, also known as airstay, to the back of the skirt. So you're going to lay your interfacing with the part of the interfacing that has the adhesive facing up, and then you're going to take the back of the fabric where we marked, which is supposed to be the back part of your fabric, and we're going to place it facing the part of the interfacing that is facing up. So we have the back part of the fabric facing the side of the interfacing that has the adhesive. It has this roughness in case you don't know how it's supposed to feel. Now we're going to iron the fabric. We're going to iron the interfacing onto the fabric for the front and for the back. So simply just repeat this process for both the front and for the back. When you're done ironing, you're going to cut it out. Please try not to tamper with the original pattern. Be very careful. Now I'm simply just trimming all the excess interfacing that I have. Now you're going to repeat this exact same process for the back. Do the exact same thing for the back. So when you're done with ironing and cutting out your interfacing, as you can see, I've ironed my interfacing from the top to the bottom of the skirt. So we have the lining and interfacing for the back, and we have the lining and the interfacing for the front. Now this is the front of the skirt. If you remember, we kept 2 inches at the front of the skirt, and I said it was going to be used for our slit. Now we're going to fold the 2 inches back in. We're folding the 2 inches underneath. We're going to take it to the table and we're going to press it. So you're going to press the 2 inches. You're going to press it back. This is so that we'll be able to place our darts without any confusion. So we're ironing the 2 inches, laying it flat, so that we'll be able to place our darts without making a mistake. Now after I'm done folding, I'm going to mark my darts. So when I'm drafting the skirt, I like to simply fold the pattern in half and make a notch there, and that's where I'll place my darts. But if you want, you could place your bust point to bust point measurements and add ½ inch to it, but I usually just fold the pattern in half and then make a notch, and that's the point where I'm going to hold my darts. So when I'm done with that, I would open up the pattern, and I'm going to pick what side of the darts where I want my slits to be, whether I want my slit to be on the right or on the left. So open up the pattern and pick the side where you want the slits to be. Now I want my slit to be on the left, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from that place where I have notched, and I'm going to come in by 2 inches from where I notched. Mark 2 inches, and I'm going to lift it up. Now at that point, when I slash that point, what I've just done is I've transferred when I cut and join them together, I've transferred the excess that I had in the center to the side. Now if you see that allowance where we ironed earlier on, we've transferred that 4-inch excess to where the slit is supposed to be. So I'm going to come to that point where I just notched, and I'm going to iron straight down. I'm going to iron it gently straight down to the bottom. Then I'm going to turn it around and spread it. I'm going to now iron away the old zip space that I had, so I don't have too many lines. I'm going to iron away the old zip line, the old zip space, because now, slit space, because now we have a new line. When we're done ironing, so we're going to lay our lining for the front. We're going to lay out our lining. Please iron your lining, don't be like me. Then I'm going to place the front pattern on top of the front part of the lining. Please try to spread it out and lay it as flat as possible. Then slice both the lining and the fabric together. Please make sure the lining underneath is laying as flat as possible. Be guided so that you don't end up cutting the pattern too big or too small. Please be very careful when you are doing this. So as you can see, now both sides have their respective linings. The other side of the slit has it, and we're done with the front. So now we'll keep my front aside. I'm going to bring my back. So the first thing I'm going to do with the back is I'm going to mark my darts. So just like what I did in front, I'm going to fold the back into half. I'm going to make a notch. Now that is where I'm going to place my dart. Thank you so much for watching. The part 2 to this video, that's the video on how I'm going to sew it, is going to drop this Saturday. Please, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.